Sacred Siren Circle, a sacred space for soul-led women ready to reclaim their voice, remember their power, and rise in sisterhood. I am your host, Marnie Benninger, mama, soulpreneur, rebirth alchemist, Ayurvedic guide, and sacred space holder for women who are done living in silence. Each week, we gather in this circle to share stories, tools, and transmissions that awaken your feminine fire and help you live, lead, and love in alignment. So take a breath, drop in, and let your sacred siren rise. Hello, 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 beautiful goddesses, and welcome back to another Sacred Siren Circle. I have grounded us in here. I have lit our candle and opened up the space. And I want us just to pause for a second, hand on heart, hand on our womb space, and just take a breath in. And we can just land here together. So welcome. I am so excited to be back here. And today something potent came through that I wanted to talk about and bring into circle. And it is about performance. And the title of today's episode is She Performed Until She Forgot Who She Was. And that is so me, so potent, so exactly what I did. I've kind of alluded to it a couple times, but back when my husband, I'm going to start here because there are several instances, but I'm going to start back where when my husband had his affair and I decided to stay, and I stayed for 8 years after. And so I often get the question of like, why did you stay? Why, if you never fully trusted him again, why did you stay? There's so many pieces to unpack with that. But a big part of it was that I did believe that it was easier to stay than to leave, in the sense that I wanted to give him a second chance. And I thought, if I don't even give this a chance, it's easier to give it a chance now than to maybe regret it in the future. And so that was part of it. And then, and because I still very much loved him. And then there was this piece that after we decided to stay, I got pregnant pretty quickly after we decided to try again. But the reason I got pregnant was I was performing. So after I found out he had been having this affair with this other woman in our town, and I was one who wanted every last detail: when they had sex, how they had sex, how many times, like what were the dates that they did it. And like, this was a 9-month to a year-long affair, so there was a lot of information that I got thrown at me, I guess, that I asked for. He didn't just provide it. I asked for it and continually dug for more and more of it. And so what happened was, after I couldn't imagine leaving him. He actually left me, was going to be starting life with this other woman, and then she dumped him, basically. And so then he wanted another chance, and he wanted to stay and try, and was all apologetic and all of these pieces. So there was a lot of pieces there, for sure. But the biggest piece was, and how we got pregnant so fast, because I do get that question often too, like, how did you, or like, you have the youngest correlates with the timeline of the affair, basically. And it was because once he was like coming back to me, I wanted to prove that I was worthy of his love, that I was better at sex than this other woman, that I could be like every dream that he ever had, kind of thing, right? And so I started putting on this performance. So I was like, you could call it insatiable with like with sex basically, because I had to prove I was better than her. I had to prove I was worthy of him deciding to come back to us, or us him coming back to us. And I had two young kids at this time, right? So I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And so I just was like constantly in this, like, I just need to keep proving that I am worthy. I need to keep proving that I am enough, that I am woman enough, um, that I'm able to be someone's wife, and that you'd be fulfilled. Because part of it was that the almost the entire year prior to him having the affair, we maybe a couple times had sex, right? And that might even be generous. Like, I can't actually remember. I can remember that feeling. I was so tapped out. I had two children breastfeeding. So I was actually tandem feeding, because our oldest, when our youngest was, or when our middle child was born, um, he was only 22 months. And I had always said I would just let them wean themselves. And everyone was like, oh, he'll just wean because your milk will dry up while you're pregnant. He never weaned. So I was tandem feeding two children. I was running this $1 million business. So having 40 employees, all these things going on, I was so tapped out. And I was so unhappy in my life, and so unhappy with myself. Um, and so, yeah, so we hadn't had sex forever. So then I felt like I had to prove, okay, well, I can have sex all the time, and I can do this, and I can like be the best mother. I can be the best boss. I can be the best wife. I can be a siren in the bedroom. I can do it all. And then thinking about, like, oh, how did I lose myself? And why was I so freaking burned out? Well, obviously, because I was just always on performance. I was always wearing some mask. I was always performing for someone. I sat on our Chamber of Commerce board. So then I also was like, it's a kind of old men's club, or it was at the time, was how it felt anyways to me. And so sitting on the board, I always felt like I had to like perform and be like, prove myself there too. I just constantly felt like I had to prove I was worthy, that I could be what everyone wanted me to be, and that I was worthy of the success I was having in the business. I was worthy of having my husband, stay after the affair. I was worthy of these two beautiful boys and this new baby growing in me. And there was so much pressure, but so much of it was from myself. I put so much of the pressure on myself to perform and do all of this and be all of these people, and not one of those people was authentically myself. Not once could I actually look at any of the people I was being in there and be like, there she is. There's Marnie. There's that like passion and that like pleasure and that sacred siren, and there's her truth and her voice, and this is who she is. Now remember, I I was not a timid mouse in the corner, which our guest speaker Tamara was talking about, right? Like that. I never have been. I've been very vocal. I've sat on boards. I've been presidents of boards. I was, back in university in our women's fraternity, AO Pi, I was president a few times. I was president of our alumni board. Like I constantly have been in these leadership positions. I public spoke. I did all of this. So from the outside looking in, I had a voice, and I was constantly using my voice, but I was using a masked voice. Maybe let's say that. I was using this voice that was not authentically me. It wasn't my truth. I was sharing and teaching pieces, but it wasn't, it was a performance. So let's come back to that. It was just a performance. It was who I thought the world needed. It was like what I thought people wanted to hear. Even with my team, which is almost where I was maybe the closest to authentically myself, was with my team of women. I could still never fully show myself because I was like, I'm their boss. I can't authentically be myself. I can't cry in front of them. I can't, um, I can't show emotion. I've got to be strong. I've got to be the leader. I've got to be this like in this masculine and just get shit done and just perform. And if you want to talk about full on burnout, when you step so fully out of yourself that you cannot even recognize burnout and you cannot even recognize that you're not authentically yourself. Like, I remember being in a call, and at this time, I was not deeply exploring Ayurveda or spirituality or oracle cards or any of these things, right? Like, I was very much just like running a business, doing all these things. And I remember being in a call and someone asking, like, what is the thing you truly love? And I gave the answer of like my children because that was the answer that was expected. And don't get me wrong, I deeply love my boys and they are so much a part of myself, but that wasn't what they were looking for. It wasn't like they were looking for anything. This question was just posed as a like, what do you truly love? Like, what lights you up? And that was another question I had gotten was like, what lights you up? And I was like, what do you mean what lights you up? Like, isn't what we do every day enough? Like, do all my circuits have to come on board? Like, do I actually have to be lit up as well as so then I took it as like, okay, I better perform harder because people are seeing that I'm not lit up by everything I'm doing. And there's cracks in my masks and people are starting to see that maybe this fully put together person is not as put together as I was showing and what happens when it cracks. And I was so terrified of what happens when it cracks. I was so terrified that if I stopped performing, I wouldn't be worthy of the success. I was so terrified that if I stopped performing, my husband would leave me again and have another affair or just fully walk out on the family. I was so terrified of life and of myself. I think that more than terrified of life, I was afraid of who I was. I was afraid that I wasn't enough, that who I authentically was wasn't worthy to be in this world, wasn't worthy to be having $1 million business, wasn't worthy to be having a family. And this fear kept me in this performance. It made me fully forget who I was. I remember there being a moment where I found a book I used to write in of just quotes I loved. And it's just a quote book. And I hadn't written in there in years, like probably 5, 6 years, in so long. And I was like, oh, right, this was a piece of me. And it was like these little pieces of me kept trying to like break through the little cracks happening. And so I was looking at this book and being like, oh, right, I kind of forgot I love quotes. Like, I love reading them. I love sharing them. I just really love quotes and hearing other people's inspiration and being inspired by other people. And there was one little like fissure of like, oh, there's another piece of me, right? And then there was something happened that like a country music song came on and my ex hated country music. And so I hadn't listened to country music in forever. And a country music song came on and I was like, oh, I love that. Not like the twangy, but it was like the soul-hearted country music song kind of thing. I was like, I love that. And then there was another piece of me that started walking again out in nature. And I don't know why I started walking. I think I just started walking. It might have been my mom. My mom walks everywhere and always has. She might have been like, hey, do you want to go for a walk? I can't even remember how I started walking again. But then I started walking again and I started walking by myself and I started being like, oh, I love being out in nature. Like at the peak of everything, I didn't spend time outside. I was working all the time. I would wake up, I would work, I would breastfeed my boys. I would work. I would be, let's say I would be out in nature when we would go to my parents' place in Silverton, but I would be working too. I'd be like, okay, yep, I'll take a book down or I'll take my journal down and be sketching when we're down at the beach. I always had my computer out. I was always working, doing something, always feeling like I had to do more to be worthy of more, which is so far from what the divine wants for us. It's so far, like we're never meant to perform. When we think about those singers that we are so divinely like attracted to today, like in a card pull I did that I'm going to share, it references Beyonce, right? And that she is in this embodiment of this Oshun, this goddess Oshun energy, this motherly, divine, feminine, like full energy. And that that is how we're supposed to be in the world. But it is so easy to lose ourselves to the performance because we are taught so young that we need to get good grades. We need to be the good little girl that sits in the corner. We need to be quiet. We need to be gentle. We need to be like caring and loving. And those things are not wrong. We should be compassionate and empathetic and loving and caring and kind. But today, in a call with Goddess Abiola that I was just on, someone brought up the word nice. And that triggered me. And I was like, oh, we need to not be nice. That is what is the wrong word. We need to be kind. But nice is that overgiving martyr performer, our desires at the bottom. That is nice. And that was like, I am no longer nice. I am no longer the good girl that sits in the corner quietly. I am kind and I am compassionate and I am loving and I will do anything for my community and those I love. And I am happy. I'm happy being that person. I'm happy actually giving and I'm a gift giver and I love it. And that is a piece of me. And that is a piece of me that has been judged, actually. That people are like, well, why do you give so many gifts? Why do you put so much thought into your gifts? And like, you give too much. And I'm like, but I actually love it. So that was another part of me that was trying to be silenced, was like my gift giving. And I, for a long time, was like, okay, I gotta like control how much I give. I gotta make sure I don't overgive in the gifts and don't put too much thought into it because then people are judging that that's like too much. And like it silenced another piece of me. And I allowed another piece of me to be silenced when that piece of me, it brings me so much joy to just like think of others and not in an overgiving, not in a like losing myself way, but in a like, I deeply connect to other humans and I want to show that they have been heard and seen and held, and seeing something at a farmer's market that will make my best friend happy. Um, that is who I am. And so interestingly, as I will always want to keep ours to 20 minutes. And so hopefully this resonates a bit with you about like performance and how that can take over who you are, and how taking those masks off can be so scary. And I get it. And it's allowing those little pieces to start coming back into you, allowing yourself to no longer perform. And I'm going to talk in the next episode about the sacred siren and about who I see her as and who I am becoming. And so interestingly, the card I pulled on my call today is the Oshun's Ashe. And so this is worthiness, self-worth, and self-respect. But Ashe, in Ayurveda, it's prana. In Chinese medicine, it's chi. It's that life force. It's that like full energy. And it's that like that complete like being, right? And so there was a piece in here that I wanted to bring through, and that's why. And so that's why I brought this card through into this call as well, is that it's the worthiness piece. And so it's, I'm worthy of love, success, and abundance. You are deserving of love, respect, and the very best in life and stand tall in your worthiness. Let the world see the value you bring. Again, this is coming from Goddess Abiola Abrams' Faces of Oshun deck that I was just reading from. And so performance actually becomes a control piece and a self-sabotaging piece. It actually becomes how we think we are showing up. And so it becomes this piece of proving we are worthiness of life, where we are worthy of everything without performing. We are worthy as our messy self. We are worthy as our dark shadow self. We are worthy as our angry, irritated, pissed off goddess. We are worthy when we are giving. We are worthy when we are compassionate. We are worthy when we are unhappy. And we are worthy just as us. We are worthy as a silent she, and we are worthy as a sacred siren. We are worthy in every version of ourselves. We are worthy in who we are letting go. We are worthy in who we are becoming. And I want us to end with a vow to ourselves, that you vow to allow a little bit more of yourself to shine today, and vow that you release the performance a little bit more today, that you release feelings of unworthiness, of where's the word I want to go with there, but that you just wholeheartedly just come into you. And I want that for all of us. I so deeply want to see all these sacred sirens walking around in the world, just embracing each other and lifting each other up. And what a beautiful world that will be. And we are getting there, and we are coming there. And I can't wait for you to hear the other guests I have on. I can't wait for you to hear the other pieces coming through from me. This is coming from the divine, and I'm so, so very blessed that the divine and my ancestors chose me to start this sacred siren circle and to bring this work out to all of you. So thank you for listening. I want to remind you that we may start as a silent she, but we are not ending as a silent she. We are becoming the sacred siren, and we are doing it together. I am standing here with you on this journey. I love you. I am bringing so much love and light to everyone. Let me know what you want to hear. If you ever want me to draw a card, leave a message on the YouTube channel or in the podcast and just say, I'd love a card in my name is so-and-so, and I'd love you just to pull a card on worthiness or on the situation. And I would happily pull that card for you. We have some lives that we're going to be doing in the Sacred Siren Circle as well, where we will have some readings coming up as well. So I look forward to that. Remember to subscribe, share with another person, another woman, another goddess that needs to be uplifted. And if you feel called, leave a review, even pushing that 4-star, 5-star on there. You don't have to leave a comment. Helps this get out to more women who might need to hear it. So I love you all. I will see you soon. And I can't wait to share more that's coming through.